Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick video on this bike I have here. It's a used kids bike, a 24-inch hardtail mountain bike, and I recently bought it from a website where you can sell old stuff for cheap money. So this bike was in a pretty rough condition and I paid about 30 bucks for it, and what I want to show you in this video is what are the essential things you have to do in order to get an old neglected bike running again. So the first thing on this bike, and like I said, it had quite a lot of issues, was the fork. And the fork was, the stanchions were completely rusted and the fork wouldn't even move at all anymore. So the first thing I did is I took it apart and eventually I got it loose again from the block position, cleaned it all out and lubricated it again, and finally put it back together. Was quite tedious with a lot of cleaning out rust, and but yeah, now the fork is operational again. Probably not as good as new, but all right for a pretty old bike. Then what you can always do on an older bike, pretty easy job, is to replace the brake and shifting cables. This is pretty easy, and you can also do the outer I don't know how to say it, but cable housing, yes, exactly. This is cheap and pretty straightforward once you've done it on, especially on an old bike with external cable routing. You know how to do it. It's pretty easy and cheap. Then, since this bike was sitting around for a very long time, I also had to replace the chain. It was really rusty, and probably you could have cleaned it, but I figured it's just easier to get a new one. It's also not too much money. And then also, unfortunately, on this bike, the derailleur was broken in half here, this plate, so I had to get a new one, and yeah, it was like 20 bucks for a brand new derailleur for this, like I think it's 7 or 8 speed bike. So also not too much money. And then what else did I do? I just replaced the brake pads here. It's also a very easy job. They cost like 3 or 4 francs or US dollars wherever you live. And yeah, no, not too much work, not a lot of expense either. And then what else did I do? I had to look at the wheel bearings, because the wheel was really loose, sitting really loose here. But what I did, I took it apart. I bought some new bearing balls. They are also quite cheap. Cleaned it all out, put them in, made sure it's has the right amount of preload on it, and now it's not moving anymore. And so the wheel is fine. When you ride the bike, it's still a bit of stickiness in the bearing. I couldn't get that sorted out, but yeah, I think it's all right for now. Then also on this bike, the headset bearing was quite, did not move nicely, so I replaced it. And again, yeah, maybe if the bike is too old and you have a lot of these things, you wouldn't do it. But yeah, new steering bearing for this bike was like $15, so not really bad. And then finally I replaced the pedals, because one of them was broken as well. But yeah, I mean, on an older bike, why would you change them if they're not broken? In this case I had to. But yeah, also pedals you can get for like 10-15 bucks. Then on this bike I didn't bother with any of the grips or the saddle or stuff like that, because it's not in the best shape anymore. But these are more cosmetic aspects, and as long as the bike is functional, I wouldn't worry too much about on such an old bike. So yeah, that's basically it. The tires are still okay-ish, I would say, and I didn't replace them because I think it's something that the next owner of this bike can do if he wants to, or if he uses the bike enough that it makes sense to replace them, but as long as they're not completely worn down or have holes in them or anything, I won't worry about it. And yeah, maybe to sum it up, I hope this video showed you what the essential things are you can do on an old bike that has been sitting around for a long time, it's not been used, been collecting dust, and how to get it running again. So yeah, it's by no means a new bike, but I hope that some kid will have a great time riding it. And yeah, just to say, I would say this is more of just a hobby you can do, and unless you're really good at it and you do it a lot, you probably won't really make money on it, because like I said, I bought this bike for like $30, and I guess the maximum I can get for this bike, since it's really old and I mean it's functional now, but there are newer, nicer bikes, I would say I can get maybe a maximum of $100 for it. But yeah, no, I mean, for me it's more what you get also is mechanical exercise. If you like wrenching on bikes, maybe you've not done something before, like changing the headset bearing, you can get some exercise on an old bike, and then you're ready for it when you want to do it on your bike, which might be a newer and nicer bike. So finally, I can also recommend two very great YouTube channels that do a lot of this stuff, especially RJ, the bike guy. He has tons of videos on fixing old stock forks and replacing all kinds of bearings, chain, messing around with the wheels. So he has been a great help to me, and also kind of inspired me a little bit to get to do some work of my own on bikes. And then maybe if you are more into the mountain biking community, you know Seth's Bike Hacks. He has done a bunch of videos fixing newer mountain bikes, and for him it was really possible to since he had a lot of parts lying around and stuff, he was able to actually get a profit from buying a used bike, fixing it a bit, putting some more modern components on it, selling it again. Also, I can really recommend that channel. So if you like this video, please give a like, and yeah, it's been a great time. I hope to see you again. Bye.